Thank you very much. My career as an economist was very short. I was a political and economic journalist for a few years in a Danish newspaper before joining the Foreign Service. But let me first of all extend to all of you a warm welcome to this conference. I do hope that we will have some interesting discussion on the Nordic welfare models and the challenges that they face in an ever more global and interdependent world. And perhaps also some of the inspiration they offer to other countries. Let me also extend my sincere thanks to TASC and especially Nat O'Connor for having had a leading role in the preparation of this conference. Equally, I would like to thank my Nordic colleagues for a very good cooperation, not only in this context, but on a daily basis. The Nordic countries have a reputation of being some of the home of some of the most happiest populations in the entire world. Forbes magazine has said so. Even talk show queen Oprah Winfrey has said so. But why is that? It would probably be an exaggeration to say that it's something to do with the weather, at least in Denmark. But and to give a comprehensive and precise answer to that question is near to impossible. But perhaps it would be something that had something to do with the Nordic model, or Nordic models. Without sounding too proud of our national backgrounds, I think most Scandinavians are rather satisfied with their societies they live in and hail from. As a Dane, I can tell you, you don't normally understand that listening to the political discussion. But once people have been abroad and come back to their own countries, I think they realize that they are not too unhappy with their destiny of being Nordics. We are to some extent, the Nordic countries, we are quite homogeneous, and for some people it may be difficult to distinguish between us. But this is not the case. We are definitely very different. We have different natural endowments, and we have chosen different ways to organize ourselves internationally, both regarding security policy as well as economic and political cooperation. Let me just mention that for example, Denmark, Finland and Sweden are all members of the European Union, although only Finland is a member of the Eurozone. Iceland is a candidate country to the European Union, whereas Norway has decided, for some years at least, not to participate, to stay outside. Denmark, Iceland and Norway were founding members of NATO, while Sweden and Finland have followed a course of neutrality for many years. So we are different, but at the same time we have a lot of common ground. Our shared history dates back more than 1,000 years, and some will be aware of some of the first tourists 1,000 years ago were coming in open boats to various countries in Europe to give inspiration and learn from the local population. And since the 19th century, we have cooperated regarding organization of our own societies. Especially since the end of World War II, we have developed close cooperation in a number of areas. We have created a Nordic Council with a permanent secretariat, implying cooperation between our parliaments, governments, civil servants, etc. On a regular basis, our governments have a meeting and they have a cabinet minister with responsibility for Nordic cooperation. And there are Nordic Council prizes for literature, music, film, the environment, etc. The term the Nordic model relates to how our welfare states are designed. The founding principle for this is universalism, that welfare benefits are for all citizens in need, no matter their social status. These benefits are financed by taxes and result in a large public sector and were developed by traditionally strong social democratic political parties and labor movements, but now also supported by a great majority of the political parties in our society, irrespective of their ideology. So the essence of the Nordic welfare state and Nordic model is to combine openness to globalization and new technologies with collective mechanisms for risk sharing, safety nets maintained by the public sector, and a high rate of spending and investment in human capital. Earlier this year, the World Economic Forum published its annual list of the world's most competitive economies, and on that list 3 of the Scandinavian countries were ranked in top 10. Some of the reasons for this are the quality, effectiveness and transparency of public institutions, the high standards of education and training, and relatively flexible labor markets. This is not to say that everything is perfect. We are now faced with huge challenges as everybody else. Questions are being asked as to what impact globalization and changing demographics, including new patterns of migration, will have, and to what extent our society will be able to respond to these challenges. We do not believe that we have found the philosopher's stone for any given society, but perhaps we may give inspiration to others, even if what works well in one country does not necessarily work well in another. So we think there's a lot to be discussed, and I look very much forward to the debate in the hours ahead of us, and hope that we can all benefit from the discussions that are going to take place, including with your participation. So let me hand you over to Niamh Peasail, who is the chair of the first session. So thank you very much.